Abbé Saint-Pierre, sur Dordogne.
Founded in the 9th century by Rudolph de Turenne, Archbishop of Bourges, the church was built around 1095 and construction continued for almost half a century. Further additions were made in the 14th century when a separate steeple was built. One of the main features is the stone carving above the entrance door. Instead of the usual Last Judgment scene, this depicts the Second Coming.
Abbé Saint-Marie, Sauliac.
This Benedictine abbey, originating in the 10th century, is laid out on the plan of a Latin cross. The sanctuary was inspired by the Church of Hagia Sophia in Istanbul. It was repeatedly ruined and plundered during the 100 Years' War. It was rebuilt in the 15th century. The abbey actually ceased to exist during the Revolution, its building being transformed into tobacco stores.
Cardinal Palace Ruins, Saint-Emilion.
Gifted to Galliard de Motte by his uncle Bertrand de Got, Archbishop of Bordeaux, who later became Pope Clement V. The Cardinal Palace sits at the entrance to the city of Saint-Emilion. This was not built first and foremost as a defensive structure, but rather as a display of wealth and comfort.
Cathédrale Saint-Front, Périgueux.
This Roman Catholic cathedral in the heart of Périgueux's Old Town is named after the first bishop of Périgueux. The site has been home to a church since the 6th century, but the existing building dates to the 12th century. It is located on the pilgrimage route to Santiago de Compostela and has World Heritage Listing status.
Chapelle Saint-Martin, Lemieux.
This church is actually dedicated to Thomas Becket. The story goes that Becket was trying to arrange a marriage between Henri le Jeune, heir to the English throne, and Marguerite, eldest daughter of the King of France. When Henri died, the marriage, of course, did not happen, and so Becket lost favor with both kings. He was murdered by 4 knights loyal to the English king, and it is now said that as atonement for their parts in the murder, the kings of England and France jointly had 3 churches built and dedicated to Thomas Becket. One of these is the Chapelle Saint-Martin.
Clocher d'église monolithe, Saint-Emilion.
If you walk up the 196 steps to reach the top of the bell tower, you'll be about 225 feet above the ground, looking down on the rooftops of a medieval town with a 360 panoramic view of one of the most famous wine regions in the world.
L'église collégiale, Saint-Emilion.
Built between the 12th and 15th centuries, this church is one of the largest in Gironde. It has been remodeled and renovated throughout history. Augustinian monks once stayed safe in this monastery until the end of the French Revolution.
Église monolithe, Saint-Emilion.
This church has been carved out of the rock over 3 centuries. As large as a cathedral, it was built by Benedictine monks between the 11th and 12th century, and it is the largest of its kind in Europe. It has a maze of tunnels that include vast catacombs. The bell tower sits 175 feet above the town and offers a fantastic view over the area, if you have the energy to climb the 196 steps.
Église Notre-Dame, Bergerac.
This 19th century church was constructed when the expanding city required somewhere larger to house the congregation. The steeple is over 260 feet high.
Église Notre-Dame, Saint-Foy-la-Grande.
Partially destroyed by Protestants in 1561 during the Wars of Religion, today you can still see the remains of the early church facade, the porch, the gallery, and the chapel.
Église Saint-Nicolas, Tremolot.
Tremolot's first church was built in the 9th century, and now today all that remains of the original work are 2 arches. Inside you can admire the frescoes from the 14th century and the 2 altars from the 18th century.
Église Saint-Pierre, au Trois.
This simple fortified church originates from 1090, when Raymond of Bauge, Lord of Artois, and the Bishop of Cahors gifted the church to the town on the condition that his son would become the priest.
Église Saint-Spéry, Sancerre.
A Catholic church that originates from the 10th or 11th century and was once said to contain the remains of Saint Spéry. The church was destroyed during the Wars of Religion and then rebuilt. The bell tower was built between 1756 and 1760 with stones from the old ramparts. The building has been registered as a historical monument since 1979.
Église Saint-Symphorien, Castellane-la-Bataille.
This impressive church was built in 1740 under the patronage of Marshal of Touraine, Count of Castillon, who had left money to the city in his will.
L'Église Saint-Jacques-Bergerac.
First built in the 12th century as a chapel on the pilgrim route to Compostela, it was enlarged in the 13th century when it became the medieval town's church. It has undergone many alterations over the centuries, and the nave was completely rebuilt in the 18th century.
Lanterne des Morts, Salette-la-Canada.
The Lanterne des Morts, or Lanterns of the Dead, are small towers mainly found in the central and western parts of France. Thought to indicate the position of a cemetery, the origin of the lantern in Sarlat is linked with the abbot Bernard of Clairvaux, who played a major role in the Second Crusade. It is said to have been built after a visit of the abbot in the city in 1147, possibly by the Knights Templar.